It's Children's Mental Health Week, and we're exploring the power of paying attention to what's going on inside, discovering clues from our thoughts, our feelings, and our bodies. Hello, I'm Kathryn Lovewell, author of the Inner Detective Journal, a gentle guide to help young children make sense of their inner world, especially when life feels difficult. We are shining a light on the importance of children's mental health, so every child has the opportunity to learn skills to respond to themselves kindly when things go wrong, which they inevitably will. So let's hear from one of our special guests now. So welcome everyone to another episode of Children's Mental Health Week. Interviews, conversations about why children's mental health is so important. I have Galia Tyano Ronen with me from Israel, an extraordinary human being who I've had the pleasure to meet, who is a mindful self-compassion teacher. That's how we met. She's also a clinical psychologist and the co-author of Grounding Psychotherapy in Self-Compassion. So welcome, Galia. So happy to see you. How are you?
Thank you, Kathryn. This is such a pleasure meeting you, being here, such a privilege. Thank you for inviting me.
It's absolutely my honor. Now, I know you've done amazing work with children, and creativity is a passion of yours, and there's all sorts of ways we can support our children with their mental health. But can you start us off from a clinical psychotherapist perspective? What sort of challenges are our children facing? What are you working with the children that come and see you, or the families, or the adults that are looking after these children? What are we facing in today's world?
So I can say in general that mental health in children is about their psychological and emotional and social well-being. And I don't mean that they need to be happy, but they need to cope with everyday life. They need to learn, they need to build relationships and feel safe being themselves and in the surrounding where they are. And many times this is not the case. It's difficult for them to make friends or to get along with others. It's difficult for them to just being able to regulate their emotions, to manage their impulses and to follow rules, because they are in school or at home and there are all kind of ways that they have to adapt to different situations. So it's very, very difficult for them. And they need also to handle stress. There's so much stress. Life today is very stressful. Their parents are stressed. The environment is very stressful for some of them, even extremely stressful. And they have to learn to be resilient enough to deal with change and also with a lot of disappointments and not to fall apart. Many times they can feel that they're not valued enough or not confident in themselves and not capable of dealing with all of that. It's difficult for them to concentrate on one task. We can see today that there are a lot of behavior changes in children. They're more sad and anxious than before. Some of it has to do with the development of technology. And on one hand, this is like wonderful because they have access to so many beautiful things. And at the same time, there's something in it that can be overwhelming to our system and their system. And we can see then a lot of fear and anger and also mood swings. They need a lot of coping tools. They need a lot of support, and they need a safe environment so they can work through all these struggles.
And I'm imagining that the first step is feeling safe within themselves. Which way round is it? Is it they need to feel safe enough in themselves to ask for help? Is it that they need to feel safe in their environment, that they can speak up? I mean, is it both? There's a lot there, isn't there, for a child to navigate?
Totally. But I feel that, when a baby is born, helpless, so there's no way for the baby to ask to be cared for. And if the baby is cared for in a way that supports him, and this is very complicated to start now and talk about it because it's it's a huge thing. But let's say that if the connection and the attachment is safe enough, then the baby and later on the kid would feel that they can trust themselves and they can trust the world, that the world will provide whatever they need And then if they are struggling, they can go and just ask for support and for help. This is what we would call like a safe environment. Sometimes the environment is kind of safe and at the same time a bit even ambivalent or anxious. And in this situation for a baby, then it's really difficult to trust fully that the world will give them what they need. And then they also become a bit anxious. So there are so many ways for them that are different to cope with this situation. It's a combination of how they were treated, how they were handled. Was it safe enough for them to grow up with the environment, in the environment they were in? And at the same time, what they came with to the world, meaning how is their brain programmed neurologically? Because we have the neuroplasticity, we have the possibility to change mechanisms in the brain. It depends on how open is their system. Some of them are really very sensitive to and very easily overwhelmed, but by many lights and colors and sounds, and so they feel like bombarded. No one means anything bad. They're just shown a toy that is singing, but they can be like become very anxious, or it's difficult for them. So trying to make it very short, but it's actually so long as an answer, that safety comes from outside and from inside. And yes, there is a possibility for us, psychotherapists and parents and teachers, to work with children to help them to restore this situation if the feeling is that it's not safe, to support them and to give them coping tools to enhance mechanisms that they already have inside of them, so resilience will be there and it will help them deal with the challenges of everyday life.
Yes, there's so much there. Thank you, Galia. I'm really aware of having trained in mindful self-compassion now and listening to some of the researchers recently talking, demonstrating just how much perceived threat, that we experience as adults in the world. We don't have a saber-toothed tiger chasing us down, but we have too many emails that one human brain can actually answer in a day. We have expectations from neighbors, schooling, how we should parent, what we should show up, what we should look like, how we should speak, how we should learn, what sort of degree we should. The level of threat all the time on our self-concept. We're not even going to go near social media, and how that can also generate many layers of threat. I mean, how do we begin to navigate all of those threats? So, and thinking of that sweet little primary school child, this 7-year-old, aware of all of this bombardment, trying to make sense of the world. They may have very supportive systems in place, they may not. How do we help our children? How do we support them?
I feel that this is like a very, very important question, since I feel that many feel that good mental health means that children don't struggle. But actually, good mental health doesn't mean a child never struggles. Because like us, all children have bad days and they have big emotions and they have some rough phases. And this has to do with their own perception of situations. So if we work from a very, very young age and help them look at themselves and the world with kind eyes, with supportive eyes, then their whole perception when growing up will also change. But if I'm staying still with a child, primary school, as you said, in the same situation, if we can teach, show other ways that are not our automatic patterns with which the child was born with or grew up in, even if the environment was really for the child. I mean, sometimes I can see children that were held in the arms, and the amount of pressure that was on their body was not suitable for their nervous system. So this is so subtle. And how can we know they're not even speaking and sometimes not even crying? But they needed maybe a softer touch or a stronger touch. It depends, yeah, to feel their own boundary. So these are things that we cannot go back and change, but we can teach, listen deeply to what they're saying, how are they using words that are describing their emotions? Do they have a vocabulary to describe their emotions? Do they have any vocabulary to describe their thoughts or whatever is happening in their body? Are they aware of all that? Or can we show them, teach them, be with them, and support them in enhancing those coping tools that are, for example, being able to have this observer inside that sees, oh, I can see now I have this emotion coming and going. I have this thought coming and going. I have this pain coming and going. This is not me. It's just something that is coming and going. Oh, this is like a wave in the ocean. Yeah, I mean, the wave within the ocean is coming and going like the thought or the emotion or anything that is happening in the body, but the ocean stays as an ocean. And the wave can move, can do so many things, but the ocean stays and it's deep and it's vast and it's clear and it has all these treasures inside. And so when there's a possibility to work with metaphors and of course with games and a lot of other ways that children use so well in their everyday life, there is a possibility to bring into awareness this observer part and to bring more kind eyes to see every situation. Because if there is one thing that I can say that I observed in adults as well as children that suffer from something, I will not say they have an illness because I'm getting into something more complicated, but let's say that there's a struggle there in life. Almost all of them, I can say almost, don't look at themselves with kind eyes. They are critical about themselves. They is just like me. All of us. It's not they, it's us. In a way, sometimes so painful to see a very young child who already has these opinions and views about himself, herself that are like devastating. They are like the worst. It's not just about self-esteem. It's not just about feeling valued or confident or capable. It's much more than that. These are the glasses that they are wearing. So everything is looked through these glasses of criticism, criticizing themselves, criticizing the environment, the teacher, and everything then seems so gloomy and sad. Of course, brings a lot of very difficult behavior and so on and so forth. But if we can teach them and ourselves, be more compassionate to ourselves as teachers, as parents as well, then what we will transmit to them will be that look at themselves with kind eyes, human eyes, seeing that none of us is perfect. And that's the beauty of us, of being not perfect, of being unique and being able to bring all the gifts that that child was meant to bring into the world to the world. And sometimes it is foggy inside. It's difficult to see these gifts, and some of the fog is caused by this critical voice inside.
I mean, obviously, I couldn't agree more. I've experienced the pain and suffering of living with that mean inner voice inside my own head as a child, having internalized a lot of the external criticisms and then magnified them for myself and ruminated on them so much that I believe they must be absolutely true. Especially if we have the influential adults in our lives cementing those beliefs. And sometimes, not deliberately, just, without understanding perhaps the impact of language. And that's why I feel it's so, so important now to empower our children to also support the adults that are living, learning, growing with them to develop this compassionate voice, to develop those kind eyes. I love that. I'm wearing my glass. I just wanted to adjust them. It's like, yes, kindness coming through here, because we know if there is kindness coming through their eyes from their own heart, then they will look through that lens of kindness and be able to share kindness and compassion. That's the curious thing about self-compassion, isn't it? The more self-compassionate we become, the easier it is to have that deep empathetic resonance, to have that connection, to be able to hold another person without judgment, literally or metaphorically. It's so inspirational to listen to you talking, Galia, and that deep sensitivity of understanding that this incredible, unique little being can learn, even with the toughest of starts, can learn to wear this kind lens.
Yeah, and also just to add to everything that you said right now, that sometimes the criticism from the outside is very subtle and very silent. Sometimes there is silence. It's not coming from shouting very loudly, but it can come from a whole society and the norms of a certain society that can influence a child. And because we have a comparing mind, and because this is done in a very automatic way, and because we have a negativity bias in everyone, I mean, this is how the brain works. We see what we don't have and not what we have. Just remember a story I heard the other day of, there was a person who was giving candy for free, and of course there was a line of children. Yeah, of course I would also go. I mean, sure. And there were two children who were sort of debating between themselves, and one was saying, let's go and stand in line," and the other said, "They're giving free candy," and the other said, "The line is so long." And the first one said, "Yeah, but they're giving candy for free." They said, "Yeah, but how can we, the line is so long." So the possibility, yeah, there was one person, yeah, one child who only saw how long was the line. This is the only thing. This is the negativity bias, just seeing that. And the other ones seeing, yeah, but we're getting the candy for free. So this is what he was. So I feel that the more we can just let's say add to this automatic pilot phenomenon, just the possibility of just looking to another side and see, yeah, but there's another way for me to look at myself and the world. And I'm talking about the children, I'm talking about the parents, of course, and psychotherapists or any teacher who's supporting children mental health. So the possibility of really embodying for ourselves, looking to ourselves inside and to talk to ourselves in a kind, generous, gentle way would have so many ripples to all the children that we meet, because this will be the way we will look at them. They're not perfect, just like us, which is so great.
Thank you so much, Galia. I could talk to you, I could listen to you all day. I really, really could. And I hope that we can continue this conversation another time. I will start that podcast one day, I will. And we'll have longer time together. But I want to thank you for sharing your beautiful sensitivity, your awareness, and obviously your expertise around this. And I know that everything you've said will inspire anyone watching to consider how they might look through that kind lens, starting with themselves, and how that will impact their perception of their children, of maybe the children they're caring for or teaching, that will impact the way they perceive their environment. I'm definitely going to ponder on that long line of children waiting in line for that candy a little bit more. It's a really wonderful story and so simple, and that is the ants, as we call them, those automatic negative thoughts that Crusher runs around in your head with. I'm so grateful for you to share your wisdom, and I really appreciate all the work you're doing, and I really do hope that more and more people will be able to hear your teachings and hear the love that exudes from your message. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. May we all be embedded in love and compassion.
Have you found this curious conversation helpful? The Inner Detective Journal might be just what you need. It's a gentle, powerful way to help young children build lifelong coping skills with kindness from within. Click the link to get your copy for your child, your class, maybe your entire organization if they've got children, so you can help them through the tough times. Let's keep listening and keep supporting children's mental health together.